So I was thinking, Heather, when you asked me about this project and you told me that you were doing this project around 42 women, I thought, wow, I'm 42 years old and I've been female all of my life, all 42 years, but I've really only been a woman for 21 years. Um, and I started thinking about it a lot. It's not something that we think about all the time, what makes us women, what makes us mothers, sisters, daughters, aunts, godmothers. And in thinking about that, I thought about the traits and the characteristics that we all have as women, and I came up with three things. And I thought about grace, power, and resilience. And those are characteristics that I've learned from my mother. Certainly, my mom had the legion of other women around that helped, grandmothers and aunts and close friends that helped to reinforce that. But she was my first teacher. And as I was becoming a mother, quite unexpectedly, some years ago, it was in 2005, I was expecting my son, and I called my mom 2 weeks before Hurricane Katrina. And I told her, I said, you're going to be a grandmother. And I'm the only child. My mom lost my father in 2000. So the fact that I was bringing this child into the world was just, she was beside herself. And 2 weeks after I told her about the baby, the Hurricane Katrina hit in New Orleans. And it was devastating, certainly. And a few months after that devastation, my mom came up to visit. And she lost everything. There was no question about it. There was nothing left. And of course she was excited because she was coming to help me prepare my nest for the baby. And she came to the house and we brought her bags upstairs. My husband had carried the bags in, and I went to greet her in the guest room. And she had this bag. She had a small suitcase, probably about the size that my son carries now at 5. And she said, oh, I'm going to get all of my things settled in. I said, okay. And I looked at her and said, well, where are your other bags? And she said, that's it. She said, my whole life is packed in that small suitcase. And it just hit me like a ton of bricks. I knew what she had lost, but to see it embodied in this little small suitcase was it was amazing. And she started to unpack, and as she opened her suitcase, she pulled out about 5 garments of clothes, and there were about 2 skirts, maybe a couple of blouses. And everything else in that suitcase was a size 0 to 3 months. Everything was for my son. And she pulled out a small card, and it was a prayer. It was a prayer for me, that I would have a safe labor and delivery. And I looked down at it, and I didn't know what to say. And she was so happy to be pulling all these things out for my child. And I turned around and I walked out of the room, and I said, I think I heard one of the kids coming in, because I needed to turn out of that room and cry. And I walked out of the room and I cried, and I pulled myself back together, and I came back in the room and I said, Mom, there's very little in here for you. And she said, this is what we do. This is what we do for our children. This is what I'm doing for you and for my grandson. And I just looked at her and I thought, wow, look at the grace that she has in front of me when she can strip away all of, the emotion, all of the false pretenses that she may want to have to make me feel good about having this baby. And there she is with little or nothing, but everything was for us. And I thought, that's what we do. And I realized after I had my own child, that's what we do. We give and give. Even when there is nothing left, you continue to give. I look at my son, and when I come home, I'm teacher and dreamer and magician and healer and storyteller. And I'm at the end of my day when I think I have nothing left to give, and I keep giving. and I don't have to think twice about it. Because just as my mother was that open vessel for me of just constantly giving when she had nothing left, I will take that with me and I will carry that with me forever. And that, to me, that's being a woman.